Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Right Guys podcast. It turns out that woke is dead. Like, it's dead. And now your hosts, Josh Hammerling and Max McGuire.
It isn't just dead, it's so dead. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Max McGuire, here with Mr. Producer Josh Hammerling. We were talking about this at the start. It's been shocking to see just how quickly DEI woke initiatives, obviously Trump with the stroke of a pen, axed it. We're learning in recent days that there have been federal government employees who have tried to still slip things through anyway. Which is why, Josh, I think that these federal judges who are trying to stop the spending pause, the more I read into these orders, we're like, no, you have to keep funding at Biden levels. No, you have to keep advertising trans surgeries the way the Biden administration did. These are what these judges are saying. They are trying to hold the door open just long enough for this woke spending to get out the door, because some of these things are like year-long contracts, right?
Yeah.
These grants. Yeah. So that's why they had to have the funding freeze, because until you get the political appointees at all of the positions, the employees can do whatever they want. Did you see it just yesterday? Or a day before, they caught a member of FEMA, a worker in FEMA, authorizing $59 million for luxury hotels in New York City for illegal aliens.
Yeah, which was shocking. Like the number for that is just staggering. $59 million. Like, how many people have to be put up in rooms to meet that total? I know they're luxury, but wow.
Yeah,
man,
it's obviously not like a one night. This is for like a long-term thing. Sleeping in Manhattan is expensive. I remember in college, I went to school in Boston. I had a girlfriend, went to school in Boston. We decided to stop in New York on our way home it was like a Christmas break or a Thanksgiving break. Oh, we'll get a hotel in Manhattan, and then we'll go to the MoMA or the Met the next day. And I remember how much it hurt even back then to pay for a hotel in Manhattan. I was like, I don't have $150.
Wow.
What? And I remember getting there, and it was a broom closet. It was a broom closet. It was the most disgusting hotel room ever. No, these guys, these illegal aliens, are staying in very, very nice hotels.
Probably fully catered and phone or food at a phone touch, right? It just happens.
There was one hotel chain that had just built a brand new hotel, and it was either Hyatt or Hilton was one of them. And so it was a franchise holder that built the hotel and paid for the franchise with the main brand. They tried to get out of the franchise because they didn't want to be open to the public anymore. They just wanted long-term illegal alien housing grants. And so there was a lawsuit in New York City between this franchisee and it was Hilton Hyatt. It was one of those big brands. Them saying, hey, no, you built this hotel. We've advertised it. We want a hotel in Manhattan. And the franchise owner saying, no, I can make more money getting government money for illegal aliens. Now, this has all been a racket. Been a racket.
It's been nothing but putting money in people's pockets. Like, we used to talk about like watching people have like a $200,000, $150,000 income every year from their job. And they're like making a couple million a year.
Yeah.
Right. Suddenly all these people involved in politics are super rich. And it's starting to make sense now that all that USAID money going to all these organizations really was just like a kickback machine for all of these dirty politicians. Now we know why. Some of them are worth $20 million and never had that much prior. Like AOC, right? I mean, just unreal.
The good news, this came out today, that the DHS was successfully able to claw back that $59 million that they tried to push out the door in the last couple of days. So they got that back. But that person was fired at FEMA and now is under investigation because that was very clearly an unlawful expenditure, right? There's laws on the books. They haven't been enforced a lot, but there are laws on the books for punishing government employees who grossly mismanage funds and violate the orders of their superiors. There are laws on the books for that. We just have to enforce them. So the good news is that is gone. Other good news for DEI, I don't know if you saw this, Disney abandoning DEI. Do you have Disney Plus?
I did. I got rid of it once The Mandalorian was over, and I just couldn't watch some of those woke shows that were coming out. I didn't want to support Disney at that point anymore.
Yeah. I sign up every year. I cancel and I get a deal for Hulu and Disney Plus for like a couple bucks a month. But if you try and watch some of the older shows, if you try and watch Peter Pan, right? If you try and watch Peter Pan right now, before the movie starts, so I guess they're getting rid of it. Before the movie would start, a black screen would come up and it would say something along the lines of, "This film depicts outdated stereotypes about Native Americans. Viewer discretion advised." It was all those things. Anything that was even remotely, if a liberal somewhere could scream, "That's offensive," they put in a disclaimer. Now, it didn't matter that these were fictional natives from Neverland. Neverland is not in America, so they couldn't literally be Native Americans, right? Because it's not America. But that was for everything. Like I think even Aristocats had one, which was insane.
It shows you just how far the woke went. I mean, it was involved. It was in everything, Max. You know, you're doing laundry and you see all those clothes full of water, and you just got to wring it out. That's what woke was. It got everything wet with this awful wokeness. It plagues everything, and it's amazing how quickly it dries up when suddenly there's a new sheriff in town, right?
Here is one of them that used to have. These are gone now. Disney has taken these down.
I remember seeing these. Yeah.
This program includes negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. Rather than remove the content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversation to create a more inclusive future together.
Just play the damn
Disney
movie.
is committed to creating stories with inspirational and aspirational themes that reflect the rich diversity of the human experience around the globe. Yada, yada, yada. I'm pretty sure that website doesn't exist anymore. These disclaimers are gone. They're putting disclaimers in the description for the films. Like if the text description before you hit play, but no longer will these things show up before you play a film. And the question is, there's really two questions. What prompted them to do this?
Yeah.
And why is it that the election of Donald Trump has suddenly made that no longer necessary? Who were they catering to? Who were they trying to curry favor with? Who were they being forced by to put that in place? Was it the Biden FCC? What was going on?
Very interesting question, right? Like there was a big change of the guard, and then suddenly everybody drops DEI like a bad habit. Businesses will do anything to stay in business. They will change their colors like a chameleon whenever somebody comes in and says, do X, Y, and Z. How much DEI did USAID work on giving money to? How much did the Biden administration spend time telling people about woke, trying to be woke in all those places? I mean, it's starting to become pretty clear who they were answering to. It was this I was thinking it was like an imagined group of people who were watching that for all the wokeness. But what if it was like government officials? What if there was a propaganda list that went out and said, "Hey, push all this stuff," right? And how high did that go? Did it come from the president? Was it the FCC? And again, these are private companies. A lot of these programs weren't airing over the airwaves, so they could say and do whatever they kind of want, right? There's no laws prohibiting them. So I think it's clear. I think Joe Biden was ramming. Well, let's say the handlers of Joe Biden were ramming woke and DEI down to everyone's throat, and they had to answer the call. They had to.
I think a lot of things happened. I think that it was a lot of Biden administration pressure. I think it was a lot of trying to curry favor with Biden administration officials, Democrats in positions of power, regulatory boards, and the like.
Sure.
We know that there were DEI executive orders because Donald Trump rescinded them, right?
Yeah.
So we knew that they existed because they just got rescinded, and they're screaming in the streets, saying, "Oh, how could you do this?" If you have to ask me what was the turning point, I would say the turning point in all of this was this campaign ad.
Supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
It's hard to believe, but it's true. Even the liberal media was shocked Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners and illegal aliens.
Every transgender inmate would have access.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
That was the biggest campaign ad of Donald Trump's entire presidential run. They spent more, I'm pretty sure they spent more money on that single ad. And they had a couple that were like it, but it all was, the tagline at the end was always, Kamala Harris is for they, them, Donald Trump is for you. When you run that ad and you make they, them versus the American people, you make that a center part of your campaign, and then you don't just win, but you win every single swing state. You win the popular vote. And short of the 2 week, 3 week later counting in California, would have won over 50% of the vote had they not been trickling in things like that. When you win that much on the main message of she's for they, them, I'm for you, companies have to take a step back and say, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I would presume that in addition to no longer having to kind of kowtow to Biden administration policies or curry favor with Democrat Party leadership, I think a lot of these companies looked inwardly and said, whoa, whoa, we are turning off more than half of the country to cater to the demands of a percent of a percent.
Dylan Mulvaney, right? Bud Light destroyed them. I mean, it destroyed them.
Yeah. No, did you see the Shane Gillis ad that they ran for the Super Bowl? That was a good ad. It's still not enough to bring me back.
No, it rings hollow. I mean, like I said, a business will do whatever it needs to do to try to, pad the bottom line. But there's got to be a line drawn where, you stick to your guns. All they had to do was stay Bud Light. That's all they had to do.
Yeah.
They could have come up with just garbage commercials, and they still would have survived.
Yeah. I watched that commercial. I'm not going to play it, but it's almost like that commercial was written by committee on what do people like us care about? Like, what are we passionate about? Oh, barbecuing. Grilling. Oh, we hate the HOA too. Right? I mean, like, it was almost like it was focus group tested on what do we need to say. It was a funny ad. It was fine, but it feels forced. And obviously it is forced.
Of course.
Because they're hemorrhaging money still. And they got 100%. It's all that. It's all them. Have you seen this thing in Worcester?
Worcester? I've heard that.
So Worcester is spelled Worcester.
Yeah.
But it's pronounced Worcester. Or if you're in Massachusetts, Worcester. Basically, if you're from Massachusetts, you just take the word and you just take out all the consonants.
It's Worcester.
It's Worcester. It's not Worcester. It's Worcester. They had a hearing, a local hearing.
Oh.
And I believe that they did declare themselves a sanctuary for the trans community.
Okay.
Have you seen that news?
No. I was too busy thinking about how even the NFL tried to change their image during the Super Bowl. We'll talk about that one after this, though.
Massachusetts City, okay, sanctuary city status for transgender community.
What does that mean? Are they special class? Do they get things that the rest of us don't? Are they? What does that mean?
I don't know, but I do want to play a little bit of the town hall portion of this meeting.
I can't wait.
So you can see, I use this word as kindly as I can, the creatures, the people, they're people, but the strange people who decided to get out and let their voice be heard, who actually believe that they are at risk of being hunted down. Let's listen to some of this.
I need the city to protect me because the federal government won't. And if you think you're afraid of Trump, you should see how afraid of Trump I am.
Can you wrap up, please?
Yes, I can. If you say that you're afraid of Trump and that's why you don't want the city to be a safe space for trans people, you better prepare for trans people to make this a very unsafe space.
I'm shaking right now.
Let's pause that.
Wow.
That was I don't like hyperbole, right?
Yeah.
She just threatened violence. Well, I also don't want to presume that person's gender. With that amount of makeup and that hairstyle, it's actually impossible to know. I mean, that's like a caricature of a woman. If you had to guess, I would guess that's a man. I would guess that's a man who says, what do I have to do to look like a woman? Wear gloves, wear a bra on the outside of my shirt, pearl necklace. I don't know.
It's like a bad Marge Simpson.
But at the end of it, if you won't make this a safe space, we will make this an unsafe space. There's no way around it. That is a threat of violence.
Yeah, it is. It's like itching for a fight. And, and she's calling this out during like a state meeting, right? Was there a law broken here?
Again,
I mean,
we don't know if it's a she. We don't know if it's a she.
I'm going to start presuming genders now because DEI is falling apart. I'm saying her.
I think that's
you think it's a man? I don't know. It sounded like a woman, but again, I don't know.
Make this a very unsafe space.
I'm shaking right now.
He's shaking right now.
She's shaking right now.
No, that again, I don't know.
Okay,
Is that a woman cosplaying as a man or a man? I don't know. This is.
How do we make this call?
They found the most androgynous people.
I don't want to be here.
Please.
I'm sorry. Am I taking too long pleading for my life?
You remembered how much.
Was somebody going to actively kill him outside of the chamber?
Well, apparently, the person before that threatened to make this an unsafe space.
Yeah.
That the voice sounds like a man. Like
it did. Again, I thought the other one sounded like a woman. It could be a dude. Are they a non-binary? Are they like a Jim? A G?
A Jur? Yeah, I don't get into that.
A J?
Let's hear what this one has to say.
How many children I have and that 2 of them are trans.
I speak as both the B and the T in the LGBT.
I speak as the B and the T in the BLT sandwich.
How? There's got to be a lot of letters. I mean, he's trans and he's bi. But if you're trans, hold on. Hold on.
You're going to give yourself a headache.
I am. I'm thinking like if he's trans, how can he be bi if he's trans? Because
you're going to give yourself a headache.
I don't understand it, Max. If he's a dude that likes a dude, that makes him gay. But if he's a woman that likes a guy, that makes him straight.
What I found is, what I found is that the more they attach letters to it, the more you're like, oh, they're just gay, or oh, they're actually straight. Like someone who says, I am a trans woman and I like other women and I'm not gonna have bottom surgery. Oh, so you're just a dude who likes women. You're just a straight guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the more you think about it, the more it just comes back to just normalcy.
Because I gotta compartmentalize it into something, right? Like, so this is beyond understanding with me. So kind of weird.
I'm multiply disabled. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder that causes me immense physical pain. I'm on the autism spectrum, and I have narcolepsy, and I couldn't drive myself here, so I had to hide from my driver that I was in drag, which is not an easy thing to do in drag.
There we go. There's the answer to our question. That was a man in drag.
Well, what if he identifies as a woman and the woman? No.
Identifies as a man who then dresses up as a woman. See, this is.
I can't keep up.
This is where it gets really hard, but this is where it gets really hard. But
what if she's non-binary? I mean, if you're non-binary, how can you be drag? Like,
Shandy says, like, share, and subscribe, folks, for no reason other than that Max has to bravely have gone through this video at least once before showing. Yes, I had to watch this multiple times because it gives me a headache trying to figure this out. Is this a woman who identifies as a man who then dresses up like a woman?
Is dressed as a woman who's in drag. So that's where I'm going with that, right? Because
it's too much. It's just too much. But
remember the good old days.
Remember, they need to be protected.
An easy thing to do in drag.
I do not want to be here.
Okay, so that is very obviously a woman.
Hold on, are you sure?
She has painted on the chiseled cheekbone of a man. She has painted on.
It's really good though. Yeah, it's really good.
I mean,
though.
This is what I want to understand, right? From a very young age, the powers that be explained to me that it is wrong for a white person to dress in blackface.
Yeah.
Because imitating a black person is wrong. And there was a history of that with in the Deep South, right? with
Yeah.
minstrel shows and the like, so that it is wrong to paint yourself up to look like someone that you're not. What I want to know is why. Obviously, there isn't the same link to racism and segregation in Jim Crow South. I get that, but why is it so acceptable for a woman, to just kind of cosplay being a man?
I'm more
That's what
curious
this is male cosplay.
if she considers herself straight, gay, or bi. Because if she's a woman that dresses up as a dude, but she's dating another woman, does that technically make her straight?
No, you see, this is where you can get real headaches. If she's a woman dressing up as a dude dating a woman, that just makes her a lesbian, right? If she's
I
a
don't
woman
know.
dressing up as a dude and she says I like dudes, that just means she's straight. I mean, this is where it's.
But that would make
this
her
is
gay,
very
because she'd be a
obviously-
guy liking a guy at that point,
This
though.
is costume makeup.
Yeah.
She painted on a beard, painted on chiseled cheekbones. I mean, this looks like this looks like Halloween.
Are there eyelashes there that she added to on top of that? I mean, there's a lot going on makeup-wise
play it.
and, like, setup.
Let's play it.
It's my day off. I do not want to be in your DMs. I do not want to be in your.
I'm just gonna go
What?
out on a limb and say I don't want you in my DMs either.
Yeah. Like,
Like-
I say that's a no.
We just stay here. Stay out of Max McGuire's DMs. Stay out of producer Josh's DMs. Stay out of
Right.
all of our DMs.
Please, for the love of God, I can't handle it. I can't handle it.
I cannot think of a worse way to wake up in the morning than to find this person in my DMs. I probably would just say, you know what? I'm done for the day.
I'd have to delete my account at that point.
Yeah,
Like, well, I'm
delete your
done.
account.
I'm out.
Email inboxes. I do not want my creativity writing diss tracks like Kendrick.
Oh.
What?
Diss track
I
inbound.
don't want to spend an hour applying glitter on my face so that you will hear and see me.
There's, I don't know. This just doesn't feel right sometimes. There's more going on here than dressing up as a person of the opposite sex. Like, there's so much going on here, man.
First of all, glitter is forever. She just shook off that glitter in that room. That there will be glitter in that room for the rest of time.
I think
I
she
don't-
should
I
be
don't- I don't
arrested now.
care.
That might be
I don't care
bioterrorism.
how much they try and clean it. I don't care how much they vacuum. There will always be some glitter in that room. So congratulations, she left her mark.
It's her day off, remember? It's her day off. It's her
The
day off.
more I see these, the clearer to me that it is. Like, for someone to believe that they need to put glitter on their face in order to be heard, that has never been a barrier to entry.
No.
Right? To talk at one of these things, you just have to live in the city and give your name and address. That's it. The more I watch these, and I say this with as much compassion as possible.
Like that.
He says,
yeah.
this is too much. Glitter is forever.
It's true.
The more I watch this, the more and I say this with compassion, we did a great disservice as a nation, basically normalizing what seems to be mental illness.
Well,
Like we've normalized it. These people deserve to receive treatment and receive help, right? Not to be told that this is completely normal and that this is wonderful.
I'm not aware of anybody that can't go outside and say what they want to say. So if she was to go outside and say she's a woman, a man, doesn't matter, she could say it all day. And there's no one that's going to stop her. Now, there might be people that disagree. Right? But that's what the First Amendment's all about. I don't understand why she needs a special space to go and talk about this stuff.
It's all fun and games until you realize that these are people who actually really need help.
It was a change of a code. Keep going.
Yeah.
I want you to listen to me.
Let us remember that the Nazis burned the books that the Nazis burned books on gender sciences first. Now the administration has villainized and marginalized migrant workers, trans, LGBT people, and even special needs, denying life-saving and affirming care.
So that actually, and we'll take this down because this is all. I actually feel really bad for these people the more we watch. That actually there's some truth to that. Some of the earliest books that the Nazis burned were books alleging that there were more than two genders, that it was completely normal. They took a very extreme step of burning it out of the libraries. But that is true. Those books were among the earliest books that did get burned. That is true.
What about the part of the loss of life affirming care? Like, what is a life affirming care? Like, when did they tie life affirming care and gender transition or anything else? Like, how did they blend those two? At what point did they become one and the same? And I'm guessing it was under Biden, maybe earlier.
So the part that no one wants to talk about is no one is at risk of dying from natural causes if they don't get top surgery, bottom surgery, if they aren't giving cross-sex hormones. The harm that they are trying to avoid is self-harm.
Oh,
that is the harm.
I never thought about that.
That they are trying to avoid. So medicine is all about reducing harm, minimizing harm, staying away from harm, right? No one is going to have a heart attack if they don't receive the hormones of the opposite sex, right? There's no natural causes here.
Yeah.
There's no natural causes here. So in any other situation, this would be treated a lot differently. This would be treated as a self-harm problem, right? And there are ways to help people without committing to the delusion as well. Because remember, what we just lived through 4 years under Biden was not just that it is compassionate and it is medicine to affirm delusions, but it is hate speech for any of us to disagree with it.
And that's where it becomes really dangerous.
That's the expansion of it, right? It's one thing to say you are at risk of self-harm and therefore we are all going to play along with you. It's another thing to say, oh, that's actually hate speech if you don't play along too.
That's where it becomes really oddball, right? Because she can go out and say that as loud as she wants to whomever she wants. But the moment that somebody steps in and says, you must believe in this too, like there's no First Amendment at that point. There's nothing left that would protect your speech versus theirs. They become a protective class. And once a protective class is created, like you've got everything that you never wanted, right? It's just awful. It's just awful.
So, I mean, I think I have great compassion for everyone. But the more I've seen this stuff, the more it becomes very clear that if this had been handled a little bit differently years ago, and if this had been handled as a mental health crisis, rather than saying we need to do all these things to minimize self-harm, but that self-harm isn't a mental health crisis. Because like that's the bit of it too, right? Yeah. Like they say that if we don't, there's self-harm as a possibility, but we're refusing to recognize that as a mental illness. We could have, I imagine a world where we would have treated these individuals a little bit differently and treated the root cause of this rather than playing along. And I think it would look a lot different. At the other end, maybe we don't get Trump 2.0 if it doesn't go that far down the road towards Crazy Town.
And it made it so broad. I mean, it started as LGBT, and then they added the Q, then a plus, and then there was a million letters. At some point, it has to look more like a delusion than an actual feeling. I don't know, but I'm not a psychologist, so.
Yeah. One of these days, I'll go back. I put in my book, Conservative's Guide to Winning Every Immigration Argument. I call them the alphabet people, because the alphabet, the letters just keep getting longer, right?
Yeah.
And it never ends. And I guess maybe I'll look back in it. I'll find the page later today, and I'll just see how much longer, because it's been about a year since I published this book. See how much longer has the acronym gotten since then.
Well, the other part of it is that as they're building up this culture around whatever LGBTQ the letters stand for, right? There were people that started using it as springboards for things like minor attracted persons, right?
Yeah.
It started opening the door to places and things that people never wanted to say out loud, but they were probably doing behind closed doors. But it started normalizing like abhorrent behavior to some degree, right? People who started being the pedo types, right? Like it started justifying things that society previously had considered to be abhorrent. I mean, that's the word I would use for it. It just was not the norm, which is what really scared me, because how many of the big companies adopted the DEI to push it in the kids' toys and the T-shirts they were wearing? Like the effect it had on an entire cohort of kids. I mean, generationally, it's changed the fabric of the U.S. just by introducing DEI for as short of a time as it was, you know?
It has. And obviously, I have a very small sample size. But of the people I personally know who have gone and said that they're trans or they're non-binary or whatever, they have all struggled to make friends. They have all never really felt like they belonged. I think in any other generation, they probably would be goth kids, or they'd be hippies, or they'd be punk rockers, right? The countercultural people in school who all gravitated towards one another because they didn't really fit in with the cliques or the jocks, right? Or the cheerleaders, right? There was always a countercultural clique in school where people who didn't feel like they belonged, they could just gravitate towards, and they were welcome with open arms, right? The difference being that if you get your nose pierced to fit in, you can always take the piercing off, right? If you spike your hair, you can always wash it, take the gel out, and get a different haircut, right? You can't do that when you start going down the transgender treatments, the hormone therapies, and the like.
Because it's physiologically altering.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And what we're going to learn about this, I put this in my books, but it really affects the way that your body develops.
Oh, God.
And one of the most crucial parts of puberty, like the reason you can't rent a car until you're 25 is because the science says that your brain isn't done developing until you're 25. Well, one of the key hormones that kind of triggers that development is your puberty hormones. If you're a man, testosterone; if you're a woman, estrogen and the like. When you deny your body those hormones, your brain does not go through the development process that it should.
Yeah, and that's just one of the organs.
That's just one, right? So the crazy thing is we're allowing people to make life-altering decisions, like undeniably, before their brain has finished developing, to make rational choices. But the treatments that we're giving them are going to make it so their brain does not fully develop in a natural way, so they'll never really make rational choices. It's nonsense. It's crazy. It's why kids aren't allowed to go get tattoos, because it's deemed to be too permanent. You're not ready for that decision making, but you can set yourself down a path of never fully developing. And bone density. That's the part. Like that's the part that like the joke is that in 1,000 years, archaeologists will be able to dig up a human body and will be able to tell. They won't care what your pronouns were, but they'll know that was a biological man, that was a biological woman, based on your bone structure, right?
Yeah.
They will be able to tell who went through these gender reassignment treatments and hormone therapies based on bone density. And when they pull up and they say, oh, wow, this was a 30-year-old who died and already had osteoporosis.
Yeah. And that's the
How
big
does that
one.
happen?
Yeah.
Right? How does a 30-year-old get osteoporosis? You get that by denying your body the hormones it needs to fully develop and fully grow.
I know. The teeth, the eyes, the ears, there's so much hinges on you getting the right hormones at the right time. And they've changed it. Did you also notice how this whole group, even with all their letters, they feel more violent than any others? I hear more veiled threats come out of that community than anywhere else. And every time we're watching one of these videos, we are playing these. Someone's like, it's going to get bad if you don't do something.
We watched that video 30 seconds in, and it was a threat of violence right in it.
Yeah.
I think part of that, for people who are on these hormone treatments, they can make you angry. I mean, like you look at a bull, like the animal. The reason that bulls are as violent as they are is because they have some of the highest testosterone levels in the animal kingdom. Same with the bull shark. Bull shark has testosterone levels through the roof, right? If you give someone testosterone, whether they're a man or a woman, they could become more angry, more violent, right? When you deprive yourself of natural hormones. It can change the way you think. I think there's another part of this that is the cosplay aspect of it too. If I was saying I'm going to pretend to be a woman, what would I do? Like, I would probably dress like that person, like with crazy hair, pearl necklace, white gloves. But I would also be really kind. I'd be really loving. Oh, I'd try and be a motherly person, because that's cosplaying being a woman. If you were trying to cosplay being a man, what would you do? You'd be all macho, right? I'll fight you, right? That's their view of masculinity, like toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
So it isn't all that surprising that if they're cosplaying that, they might adopt that into their persona as well.
Which is probably why we never saw the Trans Shooters Manifesto. That's
We've
still
seen a lot
not-
of it. We've
Have
seen
we?
a lot of it. Yeah.
But I mean, I haven't read it. I mean, it took years before that came out, right? They were sitting there protecting it. And maybe there are these, you watch the decline in those writings, right? You're starting to see them acting in the way that you're talking about. You're starting to see them dressing in a certain way, acting out the roles, right? I mean, it's just crazy the kind of things that it's forced kids to do. The way it's body and mind, right? That's what they attacked with the wokeism, and it attacked body and mind. And yeah, man, like I always thought that the Trans Manifesto, like they were on testosterone and they just got angry one day, like that is totally possible, and then they acted out on it, right? And if you've never been a young boy with raging testosterone, you know it's sometimes dumbass shit.
You know. So this is the order from yesterday, or maybe it was the day before. So a federal judge has ordered that this HHS, CDC, and FDA restore deleted web pages, this is CBS News, with health information. The health information was about gender ideology and gender transitioning and the like. So the way that this lawsuit has gone down is that doctors have sued, claiming that the web pages on HHS, CDC, and FDA were essential for treating their patients. Donald Trump said, we are not going to participate in gender transitioning. We're not going to, the ideology, it's gone, strip everything. The doctors say we can't treat our patients because they took this website down. Now, first of all, that's horseshit. Any doctor that needs to look at the CDC, HHS, or FDA to treat patients shouldn't be a doctor. Nothing wrong with referring to literature and things like that, but saying you need a public-facing website to treat your patients, horseshit. But when this judge is now saying that Trump and his administration have to put it back up, what this judge is doing is forcing the Trump administration and President Trump as a result to participate in gender transition treatment, right? It's one thing to say, hey, you have free speech rights, but people have to know things. The way this court case is going, the plaintiffs are arguing that this is an essential part of the gender transitioning treatment, being able to see this website. That is no different that saying to Trump, you don't believe in it, you have a deeply held religious belief against this, but you must publish the site that will be useful in the procedure itself. This is a much larger version of make the Christian baker bake the gay wedding cake.
I remember that. And this isn't the only websites they can go to for this stuff. I mean, there are resources out the wazoo.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's just all pushed by that. It's just all pushed by that. But yeah, I mean, it goes back to the Masterpiece Cake thing that they had in Colorado, right? I mean, you must do this. And he has won, as I understand it, but they just keep throwing lawsuit after lawsuit after.
Well, no, the website's back up now. He's appealing it. And you don't think of the president as having free speech rights, but he does, right?
Yeah.
He has the right to carry out his agenda in the administration, saying that he has to publish information that goes against his deeply held religious beliefs, and that information is going to be vital to the actual processing and treatment of these gender reassignment, whether it's chemical or actual surgical. They're asking for Donald Trump and his administration to participate in it. That's what he's mandating it happen. So at what point is that a violation of Donald Trump's religious freedom? You don't think of it that way, but it still exists.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's talk about judges trying to also force the executive to do something. Like, at what point does the executive branch have power and authority too? Like, at what point can just judges walk in and say, "Hey, you can't do your job. Hey, you can't do this"? What if every time Trump puts something out, some judge somewhere tries to stop it? We've seen it. We saw it in the first one.
It's happening nonstop.
Yeah.
No judge interfered when Joe Biden and company put these web pages up.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't. Now there's the Administrative Procedures Act. That's like, you have to go through a public comment period to change things. No one cared about that. No one cared when Joe Biden took office and deleted every single Trump website to put up his own. No one cared. It wasn't a crime then. Even wasn't a crime when Trump did it to Obama, or when Obama did it to Bush, or when Bush did it to Clinton. Right? It wasn't a crime. Now it's apparently a crime to take it down. This is got to get dealt with. It's got to get dealt with all the way to the Supreme Court. We can't take 4 years of this. It's just got to get settled. These challenges have to get settled. And no one likes talking about the elephant in the room of what do you do when you have an activist district court judge saying things like the Trump administration can't stop any funding from going out the door, right? Well, Joe Biden has invented the idea of blanket pardons, of preemptive pardons.
I know.
Right?
I know.
Of these pardons. So are we going to get to a point where this judge says you must participate in these doctors' gender treatments? Well, if Trump says, no, you don't, and I pardon you for contempt of court. Don't put it up. Judge says you're in contempt of court. Trump says, I pardon you.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I mean, go round and round in circles, right? I mean, you don't want to get to that part. You don't want to get to the part where it's like with Andrew Jackson, where the Supreme Court ruled against him, and then Andrew Jackson infamously said something along the lines of, they've issued their ruling, now let them enforce it, right? There is no enforcement arm of the Supreme Court, of the judicial branch. It is up to Congress and the executive, co-equal branches, work together and in harmony. Well, what happens when a district court judge gets it so horribly wrong over and over and over again?
What recourse is there? Like,
we saw it with Biden.
Yeah,
they blocked Biden from doing the student loans. What did Biden say? They blocked me, but they didn't stop me. He did it anyway.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, I was just thinking about how many judges Joe Biden got to the benches. Like, they were putting them out at a furious pace at the end there. So this is far from over. You know, if there's anybody to blame in this, it's all of us, right? We got to a point as an American society where, you know, like, these odd ideologies were more important than, you know, a collective American culture. It's so divisive. I mean, it's divisive by design.
Yeah.
You know? And then we wonder why we have 50-50 every time somebody gets elected.
Oh, yeah, you wonder. You wonder. And now I don't like dragging families into this. I don't like any of that. But just like we found out some really interesting things about the judge who was presiding over Trump's case in New York. Mm-hmm. Oh, he just so happens to have a daughter who is literally profiting off of Trump's case, sending out emails, right, working with clients on it. We've kind of also found that out about these judges. This is one of the judges, John Bates. His wife works for a company that is funded by USAID. Now, he is not hearing a USAID case, but he's the one dealing with the websites on the gender identity and sex change operations. But you cannot say that his wife and he himself haven't been impacted by Trump executive orders, right? On a very personal level. She worked for a company that gets funded by USAID. Either she no longer works there or she works there and the company isn't funded anymore, right?
Yeah.
You cannot tell me that he is going onto the bench with a clear mind and a clear head.
No.
You just can't.
I mean, even if they shared a bank account where that money from her job got deposited, he has a conflict of interest. He should recuse himself the very moment that you would have been connected to it. But he won't, man, because this is the activist judge that they're after. You know what he's doing. And the American people are hamstrung to do anything about it. It's crazy what somebody in a small district in some state can just think they have sweeping powers over the executive. It's so wild, man. And not to recuse himself, just
Here's
unbelievable.
Another one from Laura Loomer. Judge John McConnell, he's the one who ordered Trump administration and Doge to unfreeze billions of dollars in federal grants. He has a daughter who currently works for the U.S. Department of Education.
Wow.
She was appointed by Joe Biden. So how can you possibly rule on Doge when Doge is right now in the Department of Education making cuts, and your daughter is potentially on the chopping block? Of course you're going to issue a ruling saying Doge can't do this, right? And I'm not saying that it may not be. This corruption may not exist. It's possible. But the trigger is not proving that someone is corrupt. The trigger to recusal is the appearance of impropriety.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to prove the impropriety. You just have to say that there are enough pieces in play that create the appearance of it, and you then therefore have to recuse yourself. The judge ruling against Doge on freezing billions of dollars in federal grants, while Doge is actively trying to freeze billions of dollars in grants at Department of Education and other ones, and his daughter is in DOE, that is an inescapable conflict of interest.
Yeah, but who's going to enforce it? If he doesn't recuse himself, who can? I mean, there you go. I mean, this is such a crazy battle for, the power of the executive. Dude, this is earth-shattering stuff. This is once in a history sort of thing. I mean, we're actually finally getting an audit of all of the things going on out there, and now we're starting to see who shows up as the ones who might have had a hand in it, because all of a sudden they're the judges saying no. They're the politicians saying no. You know what I mean? So even if nothing happens, we've seen now who's been outed, right? They've been made, like in the old gangster movies. They're all being made right now. The ones who sit there and raise the biggest stink about why Donald Trump can't implement his strategy is because they're on the take. They're a bunch of evil thieves at this point. So they've been made. And the question is are the American people going to do anything about it?
Here's a funny one. The trends for people searching for a criminal defense attorney have skyrocketed. Where? In Washington, D.C.
Hold up. People in D.C. need criminal lawyers?
We're all looking for it. I want to try and find the other ones, but there were some other keywords that have jumped up too. And these are Google search results. So these are Google Trends. Google Trends is reporting that people searching for criminal defense attorneys way up. You know what other things are being searched for? I'm trying to find the image of it. Hiding money, Swiss bank accounts. Those searches are also up. I'm seeing if I can find the actual. I know who shared it last night. I didn't download it. But yeah, no, those trends as well. Like, how do I get this money out of the country? How do I hide? How do I open up a Swiss bank account? Here we go.
Unbelievable. Like they're.
So this is how to cover up search terms for Washington, D.C. the past 90 days. Look at when searches for how to cover up spiked in Washington, D.C.
Oh,
right
around
the inauguration.
Huh.
Right at the inauguration. Look at opening a Swiss bank account. Swiss bank.
No, really?
In
no.
Washington, D.C.
It's coincidence.
Shoots up right at the moment. I kid you not. Here's hide money.
Money.
Shut up in the last week. Hide money. Everyone in Washington, D.C. is all searching at the same time for hide money.
Is this like digital currencies? Is this just cash?
These are people typing into Google, how
Yeah,
do
I
I
know.
cover up? How do I access a Swiss bank? How do I hide money?
Yeah,
Those are government workers.
have to be.
This is
And
Washington, D.C. These aren't tourists.
why do they have money they need to hide? That would be the question, right? And how are they paid? Or is it digital money in like a bank account? Is it cold hard cash sitting in front of them? Like we saw it in New Jersey with Menendez, right? When he hit gold bars and who knows what else.
It's little things like this, right? This was a contract for DEI from what was this? This was Air University Profession of Arms Excellence. This was this DEIA. This is one of the contracts that Elon Musk and his wizards got rid of. $2.3 million on DEI, right? $2.3 million on DEI. They don't actually do anything.
No.
Right? They maybe give a seminar, hand out some pamphlets.
Exactly.
A lot of this money wasn't real. A lot of the work that they claimed they were doing wasn't real. So of course they're going to be searching for, how do I open up a Swiss bank account frantically? How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this?
Because they got to figure out what to do with the cash.
We just watched that the federal government has significant power to claw back money.
Yeah.
Right? You pay someone and you say, hey, give me the money back. Other side says no. What do? You have to go to court.
Yeah.
You have to hire a lawyer. You have to do all this. Right? You lose, and you have to pay their attorney's fees. The government has unlimited money for lawsuits, right?
Yeah.
So when the government says give the money back, you give it back. Otherwise, your life is over. So the reason that these search CCHAM and YouTube saying crazy they can get your web history. This isn't individual people, though they could if they wanted to. These are just the general trends in search results by geographic area. And in Washington, D.C., in the last week, there has been a spike for hide money. 100% spike.
Now we know why they would spend $20,000, quote unquote, on a show to go somewhere. At least the plan would be to have a $20,000 show. Then that show never happens, right? How would you ever prove it to happen at some sort of library or a store? Or they're sitting on unspent money that is probably terrifying. Like and it's so bad. Can you explain what? Yeah.
Zelensky said just the other day that he heard that the United States gave him $178 billion. He says, we've only gotten $95 billion.
Where's the other?
You listen to Tucker
where'd
Carlson.
it go?
Tucker Carlson was traveling through Europe, and he says the wealthiest people that he sees at every single stop on his European tour in the Alps, right? He wasn't skiing, but he was there. The wealthiest people all seem to be Ukrainians.
Now
One of those things makes you wonder, right? And Elon Musk was in the White House yesterday saying it makes you wonder how someone on a government salary could amass a net worth in the millions.
Yeah. That's why I brought it up earlier in the show. Yeah.
Just look into it just a little bit.
I mean, AOC was a bartender and she's got a pretty big net worth all of a sudden. Like, she's either a financial genius or, there might have been a couple extra bonuses beyond the $200,000 they pay her a year.
Yeah. She also went to Boston University, which automatically puts her at like a harder part in life trying to make that degree. I went to BC. We hate BU. BU beat us in hockey the other day. It was not good.
Sons of bitches.
Yeah.
Crenshaw's worth a ton now. Like Jamie Raskin.
Yeah, they're all worth
just worth a fortune.
They're all worth a fortune. They're all worth a fortune. We're almost out of time. If you like the show, give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, give us a like, follow us. We're on YouTube, Rumble, and X. We also have the audio edition of the podcast. Follow everywhere you can find audio podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, all great places. All you can find our podcast. I want to play a couple bits because there have been some protests. There have been some protests of leftists protesting Trump, and if you wonder why is it that these Democrats can't seem to get any traction, why is it that other than these activist judges slowing things down, why is it that the Democrat Party can't seem to do anything? This is probably why. Here's one clip.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me. Which side are you on? Which side fight from dawn to dusk. Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on?
I think I threw up in my mouth.
This is the banger. We will fight Doge.
Oh,
we
I
will
know.
fight Elon Musk from dawn to dusk.
This is a perfect personification of what the Democrat Party is right now. It's a joke. This is a joke. Like, this is bad, Max. It's unbelievable. Look how small their group really is.
He wants us to bow to him, but we want him in jail. Oh, which side are you on?
Oh my God.
Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on?
We got here verse 3.
Which side are you on? They say in the capital city there are no neutrals found. You're either with the Union or a scabby Musk bloodhound. Oh, which side are you on?
Wow.
That
was hard. That hurt.
That was great.
That hurt. I'm sure
was
Big
great.
Bowls is really upset
Yeah.
about that one.
Oh, you see what Elon Musk also changed his Twitter name to Harry Balls, and he got CNN to report on it, and then he immediately changed it back. It was just to see if they would say it.
Yeah.
He got him to say it. But no, these people at these protests mean business. And Josh,
Yeah.
they are so mad against Trump about Trump. They're actually starting to cuss a little.
What? No.
They're starting to cuss a little, like this lady.
I've been told I have 30 seconds, so I am going to tell you that we do have to. I don't swear in public very well, but we have to fuck Trump.
This is
Trump's
bad.
there saying, no. Stay away. Stay away.
I mean, he doesn't have to worry about it. He's got a Melania, but it's bad.
I have
This is
another
bad.
version of this. I that I want to play.
It's so bad. I mean, it's a joke.
You have to. I don't swear in public very well, but we have to fuck Trump.
No.
With as much respect as I can, but she is not my type.
Again, when you say type, you just refer to looking at photos, so you mean physically she's not your type.
Physically, she's not my type, and now that I've gotten indirectly to hear things about her, she wouldn't be my type in any way, shape, or form.
Boom. Boom. Oh my God.
I don't curse often,
But when
but
I
we
do,
all need to F Trump. Oh, what kind of protest is this?
you know, all this is in 2028. All we're gonna have to do is play these again during the next election cycle. And what for? It's bankrupt. They're bankrupt. They're bankrupt meme-wise. They're bankrupt with their jokes. They're bankrupt with their belief system. Nobody believes it anymore. Nobody wants it anymore. And why are you mad at the people that are uncovering your dollars being spent fraudulently?
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to know.
Yeah. Here's one more clip I want to play.
Ugh.
This is I sent this to you. I just want to show the bullet we dodged by not having Kamala Harris. It's going to be really fun doing these side by sides as JD Vance does more speeches on topics that Kamala Harris has also given speeches on. It's going to be really fun to put these side by side. JD Vance went overseas for an artificial intelligence conference, and I want you to see how he spoke on the issue, and then we'll rewind to when Kamala talked about AI, just to see the bullet we dodged.
The United States of America is the leader in AI, and our administration plans to keep it that way. The U.S. possesses all components across the full AI stack, including advanced semiconductor design, frontier algorithms, and of course, transformational applications. Now, the computing power this stack requires is integral to advancing AI technology. And to safeguard America's advantage, the Trump administration will ensure that the most powerful AI systems are built in the U.S. with American-designed and manufactured chips.
Okay, so that was JD Vance.
I was really into that.
He knows what he's talking about. at least enough to talk to an audience about it. Now let's listen to Kamala Harris when she did an event on AI.
AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning. And so the machine is taught. And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in, what then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process.
So obviously that's an explain it like you're 5 answer. And obviously she doesn't have the working knowledge that JD Vance would have. JD Vance was a venture capitalist. He knows a lot about this stuff. What I do think is interesting is how each side, what JD Vance focused on in the speeches. I watched the whole speech. I recommend people listen to it. It's great. She is focused on what we put in, right? Well, what do we teach the machine? Well, what have we seen so far? We've seen wokeness and DEI getting taught into this machine learning. That's
Absolutely.
how when they brought out their first round of like generative AI for like images, you would type in, say, show me the founding fathers, and they were all black, right?
Yeah.
And so that is not an accident. That is a
Not at all.
machine being taught that like black people need to be elevated because they have been historically oppressed, right? And so the AI says, oh, okay, it's good to show images of black people. So here's the black founding fathers, right?
Yeah.
They in the early days, you would ask them, show me an image of soldiers storming the beaches of Normandy. And it showed a bunch of women. That is the AI being taught that women need to be built up because they have been marginalized. They've been put down. So they need to be elevated. Well, AI says, okay, he got women in Normandy. It's harder to get those things now, but it still exists. That's what she was worried about. What do we teach it? JD Vance is worried about making sure bad stuff doesn't get taught, but his main speech was about making sure AI isn't overregulated to the point where it can't be useful, and it basically stops newcomers from entering the marketplace. Very different speeches, very different goals, very different ways to look at this and say, what can we get out of this?
Yeah, there's no, like the long-term vision for her is how woke can we make it? And with JD Vance, it's like, how do we leverage that for the betterment of the United States? Do you guys see the fundamental difference here in these 2 groups now? Like there's nothing to the Democratic Party anymore. And if any of you support them, I'm glad you're watching the show, because maybe we can change your mind. This is why we do this every day. And if you guys do, we do have some of those quotes on our that we put on t-shirts from the Right Guys podcast. I do have the JD Vance versus Kamala Harris that's on there now. So if you guys go to the description, pick up some of our t-shirts, support the show. I mean, we still work full-time jobs doing this, and we can't bring you the best kind of news if we can't keep it going. So please,
we're going to get that link in the description. It's not there now, but we're going to get it in, and it will be in the description for every show going forward. So yeah, check those out, pick up t-shirts, support the show, and the like. That's it for this edition of the podcast. If you like it, subscribe. Lots of new people watching it. Give us a thumbs up, give us a follow, give us a subscribe, whether you're watching on YouTube, Rumble, or X. Please do. We go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's been a little bit weird with me, with my schedule. Missed a couple days, but we should be back in the swing of things. So tune in for that. As I mentioned earlier, we also have the audio edition of the podcast available everywhere audio podcasts are found. That's it for this edition. My name is Max McGuire.
I'm Josh Hammerling.
Remember, the fight to take back our country is not over yet, but the only way we win is if we all stand up and fight together. See you next time.